How have we got to this place, and what's the way out of this kind of woke hell that we're having to endure?
Yeah, no, that's absolutely how I feel. And I can't speak for the rest of the world because I didn't grow up in any of these other places, but I can definitely speak on America. America has become so soft, it's actually, it's a problem. And I tell kids all the time, if you even have this much savage in you, everything out there right now is for the taking. There was a point in time in the United States where you would look at different businesses and say, God, it's almost impossible to break into this business because it's been so established. And even the companies, all these companies that are so soft right now, everything out there is for the taking.
All right, guys, so we got to talk about the UFC and Bud Light because they have just entered into a partnership that has a whole lot of people upset, and now they are threatening to boycott UFC. Now, you know that Bud Light has experienced a boycott because of some of their marketing decisions that their core customers, their core audience did not appreciate. And ever since then, the brand has struggled. Essentially, the brand is untouchable for consumers who don't want, parts of their identity questioned, right? And me personally, I haven't drank a Bud Light since this whole situation started, right? I've been going hardcore on the Bud Light boycott, partially because I generally think that it's better to drink less alcohol, okay? The less beer, the better. And it also gives me an excuse to drink other kinds of beer, craft beers more specifically, maybe some local stuff, to try other things when I do decide to drink beer, okay? So I think overall it's been a positive thing for me personally, right? But with that being said, again, the boycott is not over, right? People are still boycotting Bud Light, and the brand is untouchable. Now, with UFC, led by Dana White, deciding to get into this deal with Bud Light, people are upset. Now, Dana White is somebody that I respect, okay? I think Dana White has a great message for society, especially when we talked about how soft our society has become, okay? That's the video I played at the beginning of this video because I agree with that message. I think that our society has become super duper ultra Charmin ultra soft, and that's a problem, right? That is a part of the decline of this once great country. And to be quite honest with you, like Dana White said, if you have any ounce of savage in you, right, if you just choose to work slightly harder, work slightly smarter, and to take slightly more risk than the average person, you can find a tremendous amount of success because people just don't work that hard anymore, right? They just don't care that much, okay? That's soft. So again, it's a positive and negative thing. Bad overall for the country, great for individuals who actually want to put in just a little bit more work and effort than the next person. So again, there's a lot of things that Dana White says that I do agree with. But again, I think that he kind of put himself in a very interesting situation here by signing this $100 million deal with Bud Light. And I want to go ahead and show you guys some of the backlash that Dana White has been getting. Take a look.
UFC sold out to Bud Light for a $100 million deal. So UFC, Dana White made this deal with Bud Light and said that they share core values. Last time I checked with Bud Light, their core values were having very adult events with children involved. And most of us have boycotted Bud Light. It's easier for me. I don't drink. But the idea that you're going to support a company that does that and targets children with Dylan Mulvaney and with their average viewer being 15 years old and doing beer commercials for them, no thanks. UFC, you're done. We need to boycott them. At this point, I would rather watch street beefs on YouTube or Rumble or wherever it's at. But yeah, boycott UFC. I can't believe that you would sell. I mean, I get it. 100 million is a lot of money. But is Dana White not already insanely wealthy? What is he going to do with another 100 million? And this is the guy that had Trump and Kid Rock out there, I don't get it. But all I know is I won't support UFC in the future until that changes.
Dana Dana. I know you say you don't give a fuck what people think. This is the wrong decision, dude. But it's easy to walk away from the UFC because the fights are looking rigged as it is anyway. If you look at every fight, it looks like the refs have rigged it in some kind of way. So to boycott UFC, not nothing different. I know you don't care about my opinion. I know you got more money to squash me with your wallet. But I'm an American, and we ain't going for that shit. So, f*** Bud Light. And now, f*** UFC. Is what it is. I said what I said.
Yeah, so you seen that, you heard that. Now, this was Dana White's response to critics. Take a look.
Comes to Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light. That this was everybody talks about, oh, you did it for money. Hey, dummies, all sponsorship deals are about money. Okay? So when you talk about being a sellout, I had multiple deals in front of me. So it's not like, oh, Bud Light showed up and they were the only option I had to get money. You know, but that is to think that, you know, this was all about, and I said this yesterday, and I'll say it again, everybody on every side of this deal that were involved, other beer companies and everything else, absolutely positively know that this was not about money for me. We were going to end up with money with no matter who we ended up with. For Anheuser-Busch, it was about values, core values for me. I'm at a point in my life, and I'm at a point in my career where nothing is just about money anymore. I am very aligned, and I saw some other asshole today saying, oh, it sounds like they wrote him a script on what to say. Nobody writes me a script. Nobody tells me what to say, ever. I do things because when I come out and I say something publicly, if you look at every quote, right, that I put out, you can ask Lene, every quote is me. Every quote is me. Everything that's posted on social media is me. And everything that comes out of this mouth is me. Nobody tells me what to say and nobody tells me what to do, ever. And the things that I said about Anheuser-Busch and Bud Light yesterday are absolutely true. I am a big military law enforcement guy. They have this Folds of Honor where they've spent $44 million over the last however many years. Fallen first responders and military people, their families get taken care of with this money. Scholarships for their kids, etc. That is right up my alley. Almost $1 billion a year go to U.S. farmers for their crops, for their products. That is right up my alley. That's exactly who I am. 65,000 Americans are employed by Anheuser-Busch, and thousands of them are vets. Right up my alley. And I could keep going on and on forever and tell you why I am more aligned with Anheuser-Busch than any of the other beer companies that were offering to pay us money.
Yeah, so I think what Dana White is saying there says more about Bud Light than it says about the UFC. And I'm going to tell you guys why I believe that. But first, I actually want to play a clip of some people responding to Dana White saying that, well, the reason why I chose Bud Light, even though I had other sponsorship opportunities, is because of our values aligning, which, again, a lot of people, you know, justifiably so, would see that as a very controversial statement for somebody like Dana White to make, considering how people don't think that Bud Light's values are necessarily conservative anymore. Take a look.
Now, if anybody knows Midnight, you know I'm a huge fan of Dana White, and I'm a huge fan of the UFC. But when I watch this video going on, and Dana White is ranting and talking about what are the reasons why he lined up back with Bud Light, because he cares about farmers, because he cares about the American people, because he cares about veterans. And by the way, I know Dana White because we have mutual friends. I know he cares about police officers and enforcement. I know he cares more about all that. But Midnight's got to call If you think for a second that Dana White number one motive wasn't the $100 million because he's a money-making machine, I have to call bull.
It was about values, core values for me.
So here's Dana White reacting to the backlash of his Bud Light deal. And he's saying that it's because they do good things. Their core values line up because they give money to military veteran groups and they give money to farmers groups. They help farmers of America. I don't know exactly how they do that. And then they employ 65,000 Americans. Okay, that's cool and all. I like supporting military vet organizations. I don't care what else good you could possibly be doing. Nothing trumps the fact that you're supporting a company that the UFC is now supporting a company that has outright said, yeah, we're going to support children events, that they're going to walk around and see people humping each other, that they're going to see people dressed in basically nothing. Bud Light supports the idea of pushing children to make choices at a very young age that will irreversibly change their body forever. This is what Bud Light supports. And then the UFC says, well, we have core values. Dana White says our core values line up. Bud Light, okay. And if it's not about money, he says that. It's not about money. You know how many other beer companies out there? Cool, why didn't you go with any one of them? Yuengling. Go with Yuengling. Yuengling actively stopped a venue from, they go, hey, make sure we understand there's going to be this event going on. Hey, it's cool you have your event. Make it at least 18 plus. And then the venue did that. Yuengling, go with them. Go with Ultra Right Dad's beer. Like, if it's not about money, then why even do it? Do you really need the money? Is the money necessary? Did you need that $100 million? You sold yourself out for that, for $100 million. So if it's not about money, then this was an incredibly stupid decision, UFC. Dana White.
Yeah, so you see that, you heard that. Dana White is not only catching backlash for the partnership with Bud Light, but also for his response to the backlash that UFC and he are getting for the partnership. Now, he says that it's not about money, after saying that basically everything is about money, right? And calling people, I guess, names for not understanding that. He does say, well, it's about Bud Light's values. And again, I think that it just rubs people the wrong way because what he sees as Bud Light's values is not what other people see as what Bud Light's values are, right? Like all of the brand equity, right, and the goodwill that Bud Light has built up with consumers, particularly more conservative Americans, they lost all that. Right now, the brand or the values of Bud Light, the perceived values of Bud Light has been tainted. Okay, I'm not saying that Bud Light doesn't support veterans and they don't do all the things that they say they do, but all that goes out the window when you start to align yourself with ideologies that go against the core values of your main consumers. And I just wish that Dana White would be more upfront about why he kind of did it, okay? Instead of saying that it's not about money when everybody knows it's about money. Because I feel like I would have more respect for that answer, right? It's the same thing when it comes to war, right? And why we fight wars. We don't fight wars to save democracy or because, some dictator's evil and, he's committing human rights abuse. It's never about that. It's always about resources. It's always about money. It's always about strategic military resources. It's always about something that actually benefits the powers that be, right? And I wish that our politicians would be more upfront about that, okay? Like, for example, what is the reason why we defend Israel? It's not because they are a democracy. We don't give a damn about that. That's why we're allied with Saudi Arabia, right? And other countries that don't necessarily care about human rights and stuff like that. It's not about that. It's simply about the strategic military position of Israel being a country in the Middle East that's aligned with the West. It's also about the fact that they have nukes, okay? It's about, money. It's about a whole bunch of other things, right? That has everything to do with, again, advancing our own interests rather than human rights or it being a democracy in the Middle East. It doesn't have anything to do with any of that stuff. That's what they tell people over here in the United States to make people okay with the idea that, hey, well, we should, spill blood, right? American blood to go protect said country, right? Whether it be Israel, Ukraine, or whatever. Like, you know, that's kind of what happens. And that's what I hate the most. And I just wish that politicians would be more upfront about their real intentions. I'm applying that same kind of logic here to Dana White. Just be upfront about it. This is about money, because all of it is always about money. And Bud Light needs saving, right? Dana White probably has some deep connections with Bud Light, some of the executives there, and Bud Light probably approached them and they had some type of backdoor meeting where they discussed and said, okay, I'm going to do this for you because Bud Light needs the UFC more than the UFC needs Bud Light. You know, if you believe Dana White, they had multiple sponsorship opportunities, okay? And they just happened to go with Bud Light. And there's probably, again, some type of monetary or some type of strategic gain for the UFC by saving Bud Light. Because, again, that's what's happening here, right? Bud Light, again, is a company that has basically destroyed themselves. And, again, they need saving, right? They're desperate. So, again, they're going to try to align themselves with the most conservative or masculine entities that they can to get back that core audience that they lost. And Dana White is doing them a favor in exchange for a check. Because, again, this is more about saving Bud Light and the UFC benefiting from that more so than Bud Light employing veterans and all that other stuff. It ain't really about that, right? Because I'm sure that Bud Light is not the only beer company that supports veterans, okay? I'm sure they're not. So they could have partnered with another beer brand that's just as patriotic, that does just as much for veterans, that, you know, has these core values that are patriotic and that appeal to the core consumers of the UFC and people that, you know, drink beer or whatever, right? There are plenty of beer companies out there that he could have partnered with. But again, the reason why he partnered with Bud Light is because Bud Light is a declining brand. Bud Light is desperate. They handed over to the UFC $100 million. And it was basically an offer that this guy couldn't refuse. And it was 100% about money. And he should have just said that, right? Just say, look, it's about money at the end of the day. It is what it is. And this is my business, right? This is how I'm running it. And we got to have money to survive, right? I mean, that's just what it is, right? That's just what it is. It, you know, hey, people would have still been upset about it, but at the very least, I think that would have been a more real answer. And I would not have went after the fans the way that he does. But then again, his brand and my brand are a little bit different, you know, in the sense that maybe he doesn't care about pissing off the people that support his product. But that's just not something I would have done, right? I don't think that you do anything for yourself when you know, attack fans for justifiably questioning the partnership. I think what you should do is just come out here and be real about why you did it. Just say, this is why I did it. You know, they gave us an offer we couldn't refuse. And that $100 million is going to go a long way to supporting our company and keeping it afloat. And we're going to use that $100 million to support causes and initiatives that we care about. And no way whatsoever does it mean that, you know, we support this, that, and the other that people are upset about. I would have went that route, right? More so than the route that he's going. But then again, it's not my business. He's much more successful in business than I am. I assume he knows what he's doing. Again, I'm just some random dude on the internet. What do I know? Let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.